Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Max, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys the first step of me removing the engine from my 2010 NC Miata. I got this car on Copart in early January, and I had flood damage. It was a gamble to buy, and at first it seemed like everything was going well until the engine blew on me. So luckily my dad was able to find me a motor that came from a car from Japan. And so this is the beginning of my project to tear it out, the old motor, and put the new one in. Here's the motor that we recently got, the donor, and I have to tear it apart partially and prep it to go back in the car. So that's going to be a future video to keep a lookout for. Yeah, it's a little frustrating that the motor blew, but this is still a really fun project, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. Luckily, my dad, for my birthday, gave me the manual to work on these cars from the dealer. He found it on eBay, and it's been super helpful. I think I referred to it in this video, and yeah, let's get going. So first, you got to remove the battery box, which I didn't show in this video. I did that before I started recording. And then next, you go on to the air filter box and the air filter, because you need to get to the stuff under it, like the engine control module. So once you get those things removed, it's going to give you some more space to get to the things underneath, and it'll give you more space to drop the motor when it comes time for that. So here I am looking for the right bolts. Of course, I think it takes like 2 or 3 tries. Got to drop some stuff on the floor too. But yeah, just a quick thing, and a pro tip is to put the bolts back when you're done, because you don't want them lying around somewhere. Even if you put them in a magnetic tray, sometimes you still don't know where it's going to be. So now when I go to reinstall it, I know exactly where those bolts are. And I was having an issue with this little connector right here, so I went back to the book to check out what the book said. So I opened it to the page. I had that page already marked, but the air intake system. And here it says that to refer to another page on these different things, on these different fittings. So 1-16-19 is the page. I think it's for fuel or air management. And that little diagram is how they do it. So I didn't videotape myself doing it, but I got it done. And then I was able to continue to remove the components I needed. And another pro tip is to use fender covers when you can. I know that this car has a PPF front bra, but it's still better to protect the paint or whatever protector you have, because you don't want to create any scratches or dirt or dust or any of that while you're working on your car. And so this next part is me getting ready to take off the bumper to access the horn for the air intake. You got to take the wheels off, of course, and then there's a couple bolts inside the wheel well that you have to access, and then there's also some bolts on the top that you have to remove too to pull the bumper off. And typically, if the car had the plastic bumper guards and fender liners, you'd have to remove those too, but unfortunately this car didn't come with that. So fortunate in the moment, I didn't have one less thing to remove, but I will have to buy those in the future. And so here I am just taking those bolts off the top, and you'll see in a second here that I go to remove the bumper and it doesn't move because it's still connected. So another pro tip is to really just take a moment to assess, because in this moment I was just super excited to get the bumper off. Hey, this is a project, you know, and I was getting a little ahead of myself. So, you know, take a breather. If you have the book or if you have a tutorial, like, watch it all through the first time so you don't end up wasting time putting the car up and down and up again. And another tip is to really make sure that everything's connected, because once I finally got this off, I went to take the bumper off, and it was connected by the fog lights. So I had to put the bumper back on, disconnect the fog lights, and take it off. So it's not a big deal. It was fine, but it's just those little things that make the difference. Save yourself some time. And so here I am, taking the bumper off finally after a couple tries. And that freed up the space to take off this little horn for the air intake. And the first time around when we tried installing this, because it came initially off the car, it took us like an hour to put back on, because we were trying to do it from under the front bumper, and if you could see here, it took maybe 3 minutes tops. So that just shows that sometimes there's a right way to do it, and you think you're doing something quicker and it just takes longer. And then there you see I put the bolts back because I want to have them for the future. But after doing all that, it freed up some space to start getting the ECU out. So it's 4 bolts for the cover, and then that frees up the cover and you could take that off. And then after, you have to take apart those, or take off those two connectors that connect the wires to the ECU and the harness. So there's a little tab you push, and then you pull the handle down, and that unlocks it, and you just pull it off. And once that's done, it frees up the ECU to be taken off after you release a couple bolts. And so the final thing that you have to remove for the ECU is the bottom cover, the dust cover that protects it from water and dust from the road. So once you remove the ECU, that's part of the job done, and then you remove those couple nuts on top, which frees it up to come out. And of course, as everything else in this video, I put that nut back once I was done. Or of course, this time I did it after I was filming, of course. But then the final thing I remove in this video is the coolant reservoir. So there's just, I think, 2 or 3 bolts that connected on the top, and then you kind of have to jiggle it because it's in a weird position. But it should come out pretty easily, especially now that the battery box isn't there to interfere with it. And again, going back to making sure that you assess everything before you do it, it is pretty straightforward. But after removing the hoses, I didn't notice that the hose for the overflow valve was connected with a zip tie. So once I did that, I was able to take it all off. So that's the end of the day 1 teardown of this 2010 Miata. I'm really happy to have shown you guys the first step of this process. Keep a lookout on my YouTube for future updates. I have another teardown video, and then I have another video planned for when we pull the motor out, and then of course we'll have some installation videos coming up too. So yeah, and I just want to say a quick shout out to my friend Kyle, who's the one who really inspired me to make this video. So thank you for really pushing me to do this. So yeah, keep a lookout on my Instagram, maxmotorsracing, for any updates on this project. If you need anything for your project, hit me up. And thank you for watching.